The story unfolds in a dungeon where a fearsome red dragon is wreaking havoc. The dragon raises its claws, opening its mouth to unleash a fireball. The attack is directed at Lin Jichen, but the formidable creature is momentarily stunned, its eyes widening in shock. Seizing the opportunity, the red dragon grabs Lin Jichen and hurls him several feet away. Lin Jichen, the world's most powerful mage cultivator. Jichen's eyes widened in shock as blood spurted from his mouth. As he crashed to the floor, he wondered if this mutated red dragon would be the one to end his life. Lying there, he glanced up and saw two figures standing before him. To his relief, they were none other than his comrades, Guo Jai and Zhu Zihui. Both of them wore smug grins as they looked down at Jichen. With a trembling right hand, he reached out to them, grateful for their presence. He asked for their help. The blonde woman, Guo Jai, gently took Jichen's hand and said she hadn't expected him to actually search for the Pisces pendant just because she asked him to. She added with a smile that he was a good man, always fulfilling her every need. She then slipped a gold ring off Jichen's finger, saying she would keep it as his final gift to her, a way to always remember how kind he had been. Surprised, Jichen reached out, asking her what she meant. Zhu Zihui suddenly pulls Guo Jai close and kisses her in front of Jichen, his hand resting on her waist. Guo Jai then explains that she and Zihui are now together and that Jichen means nothing to her. They came to the dungeon to see him off. As they continued to kiss in front of him, Jichen, his hand still trembling, said that he had always treated them like family. The thought that they would betray him had never even crossed his mind. Suddenly, an alarm rang, jolting Jichen awake. As he sat up, he placed a hand on his forehead, trying to make sense of his surroundings. The place seemed familiar. It was his university dormitory. He remembered being killed by the Ascension Realm boss, the Torch Dragon, with a single slap. How he was still alive, he couldn't quite understand. Jichen then realized that his storage ring and Danfu were missing, shock etching across his face as he wondered where they had gone. Looking around in confusion, he questioned what year it was. The date was August 7th, 2040. A sudden realization washed over him. Gazing up at the ceiling of his dormitory, he understood that he had been reborn on the day before the game began, 10 years earlier. He was astonished by his unexpected fortune. Propping his chin on his hand, he pondered his rebirth. He recalled the rumor circulating in the 8 wastelands that the supreme divine artifact, the Pisces pendant, from the most powerful mutated beast in the Ascension realm, the Torch Dragon, could revive a player. He had never expected the rumor to be true. Jichen clenched his fist, relieved that he hadn't stored the Pisces pendant in his storage ring. Otherwise, it would have been stolen by his former teammates, Guo Jai and Zhu Zihui. Now dressed, Jichen entered the bathroom and reflected on his feelings for Guo Jai, whom he had loved for 10 years. Leaning on the bathroom sink with his head bowed, he noted with a heavy heart that she had ended up with Zhu Zihui, the one he had considered his own brother. Not only had they stolen all his accumulated assets, elixirs, and treasures, but they had also sent him to be killed by a mutated beast. Staring at his reflection with a stern gaze, he realized that the heavens had not abandoned him. He vowed that in this life, he would make Guo Jai and Zhu Zihui experience the pain of betrayal. The phone buzzed, pulling him from his thoughts. He answered, recognizing that he hadn't spoken to the caller in quite a while. The woman on the other end chuckled and asked what he meant by "long time no see," reminding him that they had just shared a mini hot pot together the day before. The beautiful brunette woman was curling a 10 kilograms dumbbell as she spoke. Addressing Jichen as Little Lindsay, she explained that she had something significant to share with him, something she had been contemplating for some time. Jichen recalled that exactly 10 years ago, on this very day, the brunette woman had called him to say she'd seen Guo Jai kissing another man. At the time, he hadn't believed her and had ended up arguing before cutting off all contact. Hearing her voice again now brought him a sense of unexpected happiness. Jichen apologized to her, surprising the brunette woman. She asked why he was apologizing and called him strange. Jichen brushed it off, saying it was nothing and just his emotions speaking. He then addressed her as Aya and mentioned that he didn't have time for jokes. Aya then advised him to brace himself. She mentioned that she had just seen Guo Jai kissing a man on the street and even climbing onto his sports car. Jichen smiled and assured her that he understood. Aya dropped her dumbbell, taken aback by his calm response. She insisted she wasn't joking and was serious. Jichen assured her that he believed her, but added that he had something more important to discuss. Aya placed her hand on her abdomen and tilted slightly to her left, asking if he was all right. She urged him not to be upset, expressing her concern that his calm reaction to the news was making her a bit anxious. Jichen shifted the topic, asking if she had heard of a game called 8 Wastelands. Aya responded that she had, noting that it was advertised everywhere in the city. Looking out the window, Jichen told Aya that he was considering becoming a professional esports player in that game. However, what no one realizes is that 8 Wastelands is far from an ordinary virtual reality game. It's set to become a global sensation, and within 5 years, the game will merge with reality. Abilities, treasures, NPCs, and bosses will all manifest in the real world. The sooner someone joins the game, the greater their advantage will be. Aya questioned Jichen about his ambition to become a professional esports player, unsure if he was being serious. She explained that the game was independently developed by the universal AI Manhwa. Recalling Jichen's gaming skills, she noted that if he could truly make a name for himself in 8 Wastelands, his future opportunities would be limitless. Jichen, with a serious expression, announced that he would be moving out of the dormitory in 2 days to rent a room where he could fully devote himself to the game. Aya congratulated him and, relieved that he was fine, decided to end the call, realizing her worries had been unfounded. Jichen panicked and asked Aya not to hang up. She inquired if there was something else he needed. With hesitation and a blush, Jichen placed a hand on the back of his neck and admitted that he needed equipment for the game. He revealed that he had exceeded his withdrawal limit the previous day and wondered if she could lend him some money. Aya gripped her phone tightly and yelled at Jichen. Furious, she demanded to know why he had insisted on giving Guo Jai such an expensive birthday gift the day before. "You reap what you sow," she said sharply before ending the call. Jichen leaned back in his chair with a sigh, wishing he had been reborn a day earlier so he would have had the money to buy the equipment. Suddenly, his phone buzzed with a message from Aya. She had transferred him 10,000 yuan, accompanied by a voice note. In the note, she mentioned that the amount was her gym membership fee for several years and urged him to repay her as soon as possible. She added that if she couldn't go to the gym because of him, she would use him as a sandbag for training. Smiling, Jichen sent her a voice note reassuring her not to worry. He promised he would definitely repay the money. On August 7, 2040, just a second before midnight, Jichen glanced at his watch, aware that only 1 second remained. Lying in bed, he told himself he was ready. Bringing the ring on his finger close to his eye, he watched as it began to glow. In that moment, he was transported into the open beta of the game called 8 Wastelands. After 10 years, he had returned to the place where dreams begin. As he descended, he noticed people staring up at a woman levitating in the air, surrounded by a golden aura. They referred to her as Sister Manhwa. Her radiant glow was so intense that some people struggled to look at her directly. The AI represents the first level of the game. Though it appears straightforward, it actually hides many complex mechanisms. Jichen knew he had to approach it with caution. As the woman drew closer, the crowd cheered at her beauty, with some even claiming her as their wife. Jichen placed his hand on his forehead and closed his eyes, disbelieving how these fools were having such inappropriate thoughts about Lady Manhwa. Annoyed, Lady Manhwa opened a dimensional portal, pulling the noisy players into it. If their punishment was mild, those who had been disrespectful to her would be placed in confinement. Otherwise, their attributes would be permanently reduced. The players, frightened, stepped back, leaving only Jichen standing. With his hands clenched, he remained before Lady Manhwa, asserting that those who wished to earn her favor must demonstrate true sincerity. Lady Manhwa looked down at Jichen, considering him decent. A gust of wind obscured his vision as she asked if he truly wished to embark on the path of cultivation and become an immortal. Jichen stood firm, looking back at her with determination. He introduced himself as Lin Jichen and requested Lady Manhwa's blessings. She smiled at his request and, extending her finger, a golden light radiated from her fingertips, bestowing upon him a stroke of good fortune. Jichen closed his eyes and smiled, anticipating the arrival of his innate talent. In his previous life, his talent, business prodigy, was less than impressive. While it provided a 10% discount on all purchases in city stores, it proved to be useless in the long run. Regardless, if Business Prodigy was what he received again, he would accept it with gratitude. A beam of red light descended behind Jichen as he closed his eyes. He knew that innate talents weren't everything. With his understanding of 8 wastelands, he believed that even if the beginning was lackluster, there was still a chance for a comeback. Jichen opened his eyes and saw that his innate talent was Alter Fate. A notification appeared, congratulating him for acquiring this talent. Alter Fate Against Heavens will include the following attributes. Born against Heaven's will. All innate attributes will be maximized. However, for each death, his innate attributes will decrease by 10%. Against Heaven's laws. After breaking through a realm, all attributes will be doubled. However, this will trigger a catastrophe. If he fails to overcome the heavenly tribulation, his soul will be destroyed. Luck Against Heaven's will. After breaking through a realm, he will receive a random additional talent as a reward. Furthermore, for each realm he advances, he must meet the heavenly grade conditions. Jichen recognized that this talent was exceptionally powerful. While it came with significant risks, the potential rewards were equally great. He clenched his fist and smiled, feeling content with his new talent despite the dangers it entailed. Lady Manhwa, now relaxing, extended her arms toward Jichen and informed him that she had bestowed a talent upon him. He was now required to choose his own avatar. Jichen browsed through countless faces. Although the basic models seemed similar, each had significant differences in their attributes. He finally selected an avatar, noting that this model had the highest charisma value among the basic options. In his previous life, he had no experience with such avatars, and he deliberately chose one with an afro, having grown tired of being a handsome man throughout his life. He soon realized that in the game, a more attractive appearance made it easier to gain NPC favor. He understood that he had made a significant mistake in his previous life. Players with high charisma could easily secure quests and receive assistance, and there was even a chance to encounter NPCs interested in dual cultivation. Jichen changed into his new avatar, a resolute smile on his face. He was determined to wash away the humiliation of his previous life. Lady Manhwa then unfurled her scroll and informed him that he could now choose the location of his birth. Jichen studied the map, noticing that each of the 4 lands corresponded to one of the 4 main professions in 8 wastelands. He placed a hand on his chin, thoughtfully considering which location would suit him best. Yongning is best suited for magic cultivation, Yu Hua for medical cultivation, Mu Zion for weapon cultivation, and Hua Fong for body cultivation. Another notification appeared, displaying Jichen's stats. Innate talent, Alter Fate. Sect, none. Reputation, 0. Cultivation, 0. Realm, mortal. Innate core bone, 100 max. Innate spirit, 100 full. Innate comprehension, 100 full. Innate charisma, immortal max. Innate luck, windfall max. Core bone determines the potential for weapon and body cultivation, while spirit sets the limits for magic and medical cultivation. Comprehension aids in learning skills, charisma influences NPC favorability, and luck is self-explanatory. Jichen smiled, realizing that all his innate attributes were maxed out from the start. If he continued cultivating, he could become the #1 magic cultivator in no time. However, he remembered that magic cultivation, while powerful in team battles, was less effective in solo combat. In his previous life, this weakness had led to his downfall. As he selected his birthplace, Jichen remembered that in his previous life, he had chosen magic cultivation because Guo Jai favored it. This time, however, he would pick what he truly wanted. He decided on Mu Zion as his place of birth. Lady Manhwa extended both hands to the side as she prepared to transport Jichen to Mu Zion. Clenching his fist, Jichen vowed that in this life, if he wanted to become #1, he would have to withstand attacks from all sides. Sword cultivation, known for its unparalleled single-target damage, was the path he would choose. As the golden light enveloped him, Jichen closed his eyes and declared his intention to become the strongest sword cultivator. When he opened his eyes, a sword materialized before him. He was ready to ride the wind with his sword and embrace the world of martial arts. Mu Zion Continent, Beginner's Village. A system notification alerted Jichen that he had arrived at the Beginner's Village. As he landed, he noticed a mix of NPCs and real players, some recruiting members, while others were accepting missions from the NPCs. Jichen smiled as a wave of nostalgia washed over him, seeing the bustling crowd. Looking ahead, he noticed an old man surrounded by a group of players, recognizing that the old man was likely an NPC. The players began bickering, claiming, "First come, first served." One player suggested they talk to the old man to see if he had any hidden missions. Jichen closed his eyes and smiled as he walked past the players, thinking to himself that they were foolish. How could a hidden mission be with such an obvious NPC? While they continued to bicker, he would make his way to the sword sect. As he walked past the crowd, Jichen knew he didn't need to rush, as he was already familiar with the route. Behind him, another player wondered aloud why the lady boss was ignoring him. Suddenly, a brunette woman called out to Jichen, hoping he could spare a moment of his time. Jichen turned to see a brunette NPC introducing herself as KingLeywin, the owner of a tailor shop in the village. She blushed, placed a hand on her chest, and with a seductive smile, asked if he would be interested in a mission, offering to arrange one for him. Meanwhile, the other players behind her were mesmerized by her beauty and angrily questioned why she was ignoring them. KingLeywin affectionately wrapped her arms around Jichen and, with a seductive allure, confided that she had been lonely since her husband passed away 5 years ago. She then offered to assist him with the mission if he found it too challenging. Jichen's eyes widened as he realized the power of his maxed-out charisma. He hadn't anticipated that it would attract an NPC.